The best product leaders aren't just product managers. They are part psychologists, part economists, part strategists. They see the world through a lens of first principles. But how do you move from theory to practice? How do you stop being a victim of chaos and start being the architect of your own outcomes? This is the Sovereign PM, the podcast that deconstructs the ideas of product strategist Schwarzkopf to give you a more powerful way to think and lead. It's time to own your outcomes. Let's begin.
We've all endured it, haven't we? That quarterly product planning session that leaves you feeling less like a strategic architect and more like a combatant who just survived a political skirmish.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's the meeting where, the sales leader with laser focus demands a feature solely tied to one colossal enterprise deal.
The must-have for the big fish.
Exactly. Then the marketing head, fueled by maybe competitive envy, insists on replicating a rival's shiny new offering. We need that too.
Keeping up with the Joneses product style.
Right. And then the senior executive, often with just a casual wave of the hand, drops a simple suggestion that predictably is anything but simple.
The drive-by feature request.
The outcome. A product roadmap that's less a coherent vision and more a disjointed reactive patchwork. What's fundamentally at stake here, really, when our product strategy devolves into this kind of reactive chaos?
Well, it's more than just inefficiency, isn't it? It's a systemic breakdown in the operating layer of product strategy. It's a dilution of our strategic intent.
A dilution? How so?
In this environment, the loudest voice, or perhaps simply the most senior person in the room, dictates the product's trajectory. It's not necessarily genuine customer need or tangible business value driving things.
Okay.
And this immediately prompts a critical question for any product leader who's grappling with this constant pressure of feature requests. How do we transition from these ad hoc, often politically charged decisions to a truly evidence-based, strategically sound product development process?
Yeah.
Because what you've described, this relentless, often misdirected churn of features, well, that's precisely what we refer to as the feature factory syndrome.
The feature factory. It's a term that just resonates, doesn't it? With that visceral sense of frustration, describing that relentless churn of features, often disconnected, often reactive.
Absolutely. We recognize the symptoms because, frankly, most of us have lived them.
So let's unpack those symptoms. Let's take that sales leader, for example, advocating for a highly specific feature because it's the linchpin for a single, massive enterprise deal. On the surface, it appears pragmatic, immediate revenue. Right?
Yeah, right. Seems like a no-brainer initially.
But if we peel back that layer, what's the inherent tension between that immediate sort of transactional pressure to close a deal and the long-term, scalable, strategic growth of the product? How do these forces misalign?
This is a classic case of asymmetry in incentives. The sales organization operates on immediate quarterly targets, often with direct compensation tied to securing specific deals. Their strategic horizon is, by necessity, incredibly short.
Focused on the now.
Exactly. So for a product leader, succumbing to these demands without rigorous vetting creates significant strategic debt. You're building something hyper-specific for one customer, potentially at the expense of a much broader market need or a fundamental improvement to the product platform itself.
Right. You optimize locally, but sub-optimize globally, so to speak.
Precisely. This reactive stance leads to a product that is less a coherent offering and more a collection of bespoke customizations. It's a prime example of misallocating precious engineering resources.
Hugely expensive resources.
Just incredibly expensive. Diverting them from addressing system-level problems or pursuing genuinely impactful innovations, all to secure a single, albeit large, deal. Now look, closing deals is undeniably critical for business.
Of course.
But it becomes problematic when these short-term wins dictate the product's strategic direction rather than aligning with a larger, cohesive strategic narrative. The opportunity cost here is just immense. Every engineering hour spent on a single client customization is an hour not spent solving a widespread problem that could unlock exponential growth.
And it's not isolated to sales, is it? Marketing frequently contributes with their inspiration from competitor launches. The cry echoes through the halls. Competitor X just launched feature Y. We need it yesterday.
Oh, the competitor feature panic.
Yeah. This response fosters an inherently reactive posture, doesn't it? Instead of leading the market and carving out unique value, you're perpetually chasing the tail of your competitors. What's the deeper strategic flaw here?
Absolutely. This reaction betrays a fundamental absence of first principles thinking within the organization's product development process. When your roadmap is primarily dictated by competitor features, you are, in essence, outsourcing your innovation strategy.
Outsourcing strategy. Wow.
You are reacting to their perceived successes rather than proactively identifying your own unique market opportunities, leveraging your core strengths, or deeply understanding your own customers' unmet needs. This isn't market leadership. At best, it's being a fast follower, and often it's just a desperate game of catch-up.
Playing defense all the time.
Exactly. It means the organization is operating without a robust strategic protocol for internalizing market signals and converting them into validated, internally driven initiatives. You're consuming valuable resources to chase another firm's strategy, which inevitably leads to diluted differentiation, a lack of true competitive advantage, and often a confused product narrative that struggles to explain its core value proposition.
So the product identity gets muddy.
Completely. The long-term damage here is a product that is just a collage of adopted ideas rather than an intentional architected solution to core problems that you identified.
And then there's the executive suggestion. The suggestion. It's rarely framed as a direct command, but the subtle power dynamics are undeniable, right?
Oh, absolutely. The implicit weight is huge.
A simple suggestion from a senior executive often bypasses the standard vetting process entirely, landing directly on the product team's plate with an implicit, often unspoken, expectation of immediate prioritization. This effectively overrides any strategic framework or objective criteria you might have in place. How does this particular dynamic contribute to the feature factory, and what's its systemic impact?
This is precisely where organizational politics manifest as significant systems friction within the product development process. The seniority of the requester can inadvertently become the primary prioritization criterion, completely overshadowing the intrinsic merit of the idea itself.
So who asks matters more than what is asked?
Tragically, yes, in these scenarios. It subverts the very notion of an objective intake process. What this means is that your product organization is operating without an essential strategic firewall for incoming requests. Ideas that haven't been adequately researched, validated, or even fully thought through consume valuable resources solely because of the weight of their origin rather than the strength of their evidence.
That sounds incredibly inefficient.
It is, and this kind of influence, when not channeled through a structured process, contributes significantly to that aforementioned strategic debt. You're accumulating features that may not align with long-term goals or solve widespread customer pain points. It also fosters a culture of pleasing up rather than building for market impact.
Leading to a product that serves internal politics more than external users.
Precisely. It's a dangerous path.
The ultimate consequence of all these fragmented pressures, the reactive posture, the unchallenged directives, is inevitably the product roadmap itself. It's no longer a coherent vision, but a disjointed patchwork of unrelated features. There's no cohesive narrative, no overarching strategic thread connecting one initiative to the next. You end up with what feels like a Franken product.
A Franken product. Yeah, that's a good description.
What's the deeper signal-to-noise problem here?
Indeed. If we connect this to a broader systems perspective, the feature factory is fundamentally a system where noise consistently overrides signal. The absence of a clear, objective filter means the organization is operating without that essential strategic firewall at the intake level,
Letting everything through.
allowing non-strategic, politically charged initiative to consume valuable resources. This inevitably leads to accumulated strategic debt over time, as you find yourself maintaining features that deliver minimal ongoing value, thereby hindering future innovation and strategic agility.
So it actively blocks future progress.
It absolutely does. It's a profound failure in information architecture at the strategic level, where the inputs are chaotic, and therefore the outputs cannot possibly be coherent. This chaotic input creates a feedback loop where product teams become accustomed to reacting rather than initiating, further entrenching the feature factory mindset. The product becomes a burden, not an asset.
It sounds like a fundamental problem stemming from a lack of a common strategic language. If everyone's speaking a different dialect of what's important, how can you ever agree on a truly unified direction?
That's exactly it.
The root cause, as you've underscored, is the absence of that objective language, that universally understood framework for evaluating ideas. Without it, decisions default to subjective measures. Seniority, perceived influence, the sheer volume of advocacy, or even just personal preference.
Exactly. When you lack a shared strategic vocabulary, decision-making becomes inherently subjective and prone to various cognitive biases. It plays directly into human tendencies, like confirmation bias people instinctively seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs, or the innate desire to please higher-ups within the organizational hierarchy.
Right. Basic human psychology kicks in.
It does, and this isn't a failing of individuals, let's be clear. It's a systemic flaw in the design of the decision-making process. There's no standardized strategic protocol for idea intake. It's a vacuum that opinions, rather than evidence, rush to fill.
A vacuum of process.
Yes. This absence of an objective standard transforms a product organization from a collaborative engine for value creation into a battleground for scarce resources. It's a failure to design the system to produce the desired outcomes, often resulting in talented teams feeling disempowered and overwhelmed by the constant shifting priorities.
So we've thoroughly deconstructed and diagnosed the feature factory syndrome. It's clear this is a deeply systemic issue, not merely a collection of isolated poor decisions. Now, for the critical question, what's the antidote? You've hinted at a powerful yet remarkably simple solution.
Indeed. The direct, robust answer to combating the feature factory is what we call the proof of value, or PoV template. And let me underscore this. Its immense power lies precisely in its simplicity.
Simplicity, not more process.
Not more complex process, no. We're not talking about introducing a more complex multi-stage process, nor are we demanding investment in a fancier, expensive new tool. This is a concise, powerful, one-page document designed to fundamentally transform the operating culture and establish a new strategic protocol for how all product ideas are vetted and prioritized.
Okay, so it's far more than just a bureaucratic form you fill out. It sounds like a genuine lever for cultural transformation, a tool that forces a new type of conversation. What makes this seemingly simple document so profoundly powerful in shifting an entire organizational culture away from the feature factory mindset?
Its power resides not in its physical form, but in its function as a new operating layer, a new strategic protocol for how ideas are processed from inception to prioritization. It's about engineering a deliberate cultural shift.
Engineering a shift.
Yes. This isn't merely about organizing existing ideas. It's about fundamentally altering the default behavior within the entire organization when it comes to product requests. It is a conscious act of designing a new information architecture for product requests, establishing a clear signaling layer where the true signal of validated customer need and business value can finally cut through the omnipresent noise of opinion, anecdote, and political maneuvering.
Signal over noise.
That's the goal. This is praxeology in action understanding human behavior and designing systems to nudge that behavior towards more rational, evidence-based decision-making. By making the path of least resistance the path of most strategic alignment, you fundamentally change the game.
That's a profound way to frame it. Not just a template, but a new operating system, a re-architecture of how ideas are handled. Let's delve into the why behind its remarkable effectiveness. How exactly does this template manage to replace raw politics with undeniable evidence?
Okay, so it achieves this by creating a single, fair, and objective entry point for all ideas, regardless of their origin. Consider this scenario. An eager intern, armed with concrete customer feedback gleaned from frontline support calls and compelling market analysis, submits an idea through this template.
Okay.
That idea, because it is backed by strong, verifiable evidence, can now demonstrably look far more compelling and strategically viable than a vague, intuition-driven request from a seasoned VP who simply had a hunch.
The hunch versus the evidence.
Exactly. This fundamentally shifts the power dynamic from who is asking to what is the proof. It's a radical democratization of the idea funnel, establishing a true meritocracy based on validated need and potential impact.
Democratization, I like that.
From a behavioral psychology perspective, it actively reduces power distance in idea submission. It cultivates intellectual honesty by making the quality of the argument, not the political capital or hierarchical position of the arguer, the sole determinant of whether an idea progresses. It's a structural way to combat the hippio effect, the highest paid person's opinion.
Right, defanging the hippio. So it forces a higher level of clear thinking, not just from the product team, but from the stakeholders themselves who are proposing the ideas. It acts as a kind of self-correction mechanism built into the initial proposal stage.
Absolutely. The very act of writing, especially within a structured framework, is fundamentally an act of clarifying thought, forcing stakeholders to externalize their ideas into a structured format, to explicitly articulate the specific problem they're addressing, to provide the supporting evidence, and to define the desired measurable outcome, often reveals inherent weaknesses, logical gaps, or unexamined assumptions in their own ideas before those ideas even reach the product team.
So they catch their own flaws first.
Often, yes. This is a built-in pre-filter, a form of incredibly productive systems friction. It demands precision and rigor. If you, as the proposer, cannot concisely articulate the problem, provide credible evidence for its existence, and hypothesize a measurable solution, then the idea is likely not yet fully formed.
Makes sense.
This process often surfaces the weaknesses in their own ideas before they even reach you, which is an incredibly valuable outcome for both the proposer and the product organization. It allows for self-correction at the source, preventing half-baked suggestions and untested hunches from consuming valuable strategic bandwidth and ultimately expensive development cycles. It's a low-cost, high-leverage mechanism for quality control.
And finally, a critical point you mentioned. It profoundly respects the product team's time. In any organization, engineering talent represents an incredibly precious and expensive resource. How does the PoV template effectively act as a shield, protecting that invaluable resource from dilution?
Look, product teams comprising designers, engineers, product managers, researchers, they're not just expensive in terms of salaries, but their intellectual capacity and the sheer opportunity cost of their time are astronomical.
Huge opportunity cost.
Absolutely. The PoV template functions as that vital strategic firewall, ensuring that this precious resource is only ever spent on well-defined, robustly validated problems, not on half-baked suggestions, political pet projects, or vague, wouldn't it be nice if ideas.
A nice to haves.
Right. It guarantees that the engineering calendar is rigorously protected from speculative or unproven initiatives. Consider the profound economic implications. Misallocated engineering time on a feature that ultimately provides little to no demonstrable value is not just a wasted quarter. It's a direct, measurable hit to the company's bottom line, a forfeiture of potential strategic advantage, and a drain on team morale.
Morale is a big one, too.
Huge. This template embodies radical ownership of the product's strategic direction by ensuring every single minute spent by the team is on genuinely impactful work, directly contributing to stated business objectives. It shifts the entire organization from being a feature factory to a value factory.
This is truly fascinating. It's not merely about organizing ideas. It's about fundamentally shifting power dynamics, democratizing the idea funnel, and essentially setting up a new filtering system for the entire organization's product output. It sounds like a true game changer for reclaiming product sovereignty and moving from a state of constant reaction to one of strategic intention.
Absolutely. When we connect this to the larger strategic picture, this isn't just a document, it's a deliberate act of designing a new information architecture for how product requests are initiated and evaluated. It establishes that clear signaling layer where the robust signal of validated need can finally cut through the cacophony of opinion and urgency.
Cutting through the noise.
It's praxeology applied, understanding human behavior and designing the system to foster a more rational, evidence-based decision-making. It ensures that every single initiative, regardless of its origin, is subjected to the same rigorous strategic protocol, thereby elevating the entire organization's product maturity. It's about building a system that predictably produces strategic outcomes.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this PoV template itself. You mentioned it's intentionally designed as a concise one-page document, completable in under 30 minutes. It's the mandatory ticket to entry for any idea to be considered seriously. What are its core elements that drive this strategic clarity?
Right. The design itself is a critical part of its effectiveness. Its enforced brevity requires conciseness and clarity, reducing the barrier to entry for the proposer while maximizing the signal-to-noise ratio for the product team.
Less work to submit, more value received.
Exactly. It's structured around 4 key sections, each serving a critical purpose in transforming a raw idea into a strategically aligned, evidence-backed proposal. This isn't about filling out a long form. It's about distilling the essence.
Okay, let's begin with the foundational why. The core problem. This section is about meticulously defining the problem, ensuring we don't prematurely jump to a solution, correct? How do we ensure that precision?
Precisely. This is the bedrock of the entire template, and it demands rigorous discipline. It begins with a problem statement, ideally articulated in a single, utterly concise sentence.
One sentence. That's tough.
It is, but it forces clarity. The challenge here is to distill a potentially complex, multifaceted issue into its absolute essence. What exactly is the pain point, and for whom? Take our running example. Sales leaders lack a simple professional way to share key performance metrics with their executives before high-stakes meetings.
Great. Clear user, clear pain, clear context.
Exactly. This single sentence immediately achieves several critical objectives. It clearly identifies the primary user sales leaders, their specific pain point, the lack of simple professional sharing, and the critical context that amplifies this pain high-stakes meetings. The focus here is emphatically not on what to build, but whose problem you are genuinely solving and why that problem matters to the business.
Avoiding the solution trap.
Yes. This deliberate focus prevents the common trap of solutionizing prematurely and firmly anchors the subsequent discussion in genuine identified user need. It forces first principles thinking about the challenge.
And then, the job to be done. This framework is incredibly powerful because it pushes us beyond mere tasks and captures the user's underlying motivation and desired outcome, the deeper human need. How does that translate here?
Yes, the job to be done framework is crucial because it helps us understand the user's true goal, their aspirations, not just the feature they think they need. It follows a simple yet elegant structure. When context, I want to action, so I can outcome.
When I want to, so I can.
Applying this to our example, when I'm about to walk into my weekly review with my VP, I want to have the 3 key metrics on hand so I can look prepared and confidently answer any questions.
Okay. So I can is key.
It is. The elegance and power here lie in capturing both the practical need and the often unspoken emotional and professional motivation. It's not just about sharing data, it's about appearing competent, feeling confident, managing one's professional image. This defines the user's desired future state, the transformation they seek.
Got it.
It grounds the entire idea in deep user empathy and truly outcome-driven thinking, ensuring we build solutions that deliver genuine value, not just features. It moves us from a feature mindset to a transformation mindset.
Next, the evidence. This is explicitly described as not optional, requiring at least 2 forms of proof. This feels like the undeniable core of replacing subjective politics with objective, verifiable proof. What specific types of evidence are we looking for to build that compelling case?
Right. This section is the critical signaling layer of the PoV. Without robust, verifiable evidence, any idea remains speculative, just an opinion. We're seeking a triangulation of data, both quantitative data, qualitative data, and contextual market signals.
Quant, qual, and market. Okay.
For quantitative data, consider examples that directly demonstrate business impact or widespread pain. For instance, we have lost 4 enterprise deals in the last 2 quarters, explicitly citing the lack of a reporting feature. Source, Salesforce notes, dated MMDD.
Specific, sourced, impact-driven.
Exactly. This example directly ties the problem to a measurable loss in revenue and provides clear traceability to a specific, verifiable source, elevating the request far beyond anecdote. Another powerful quantitative example. Our support team receives an average of 15 tickets per month requesting dashboard export functionality with a 3-day average resolution time for workarounds.
Okay, showing scale and operational drag.
Yes, this highlights the scale of user frustration, the recurring nature of the problem, and even the operational overhead it creates, indicating a systemic pain point that warrants attention. These numbers are the empirical, measurable foundation of the problem.
So it's about demonstrating real, tangible impact, lost revenue, or widespread, measurable pain that affects a significant portion of our user base.
Exactly. And then you complement that quantitative backbone with rich qualitative data. Quantitative data tells you what is happening, the frequency, the scale, but qualitative data tells you why it's happening and, crucially, how it feels to the user.
The human element.
The human element. A direct quote like, "I love the dashboard, but I end up taking a screenshot of it with my phone and pasting it into a slide deck every week. It looks unprofessional and, frankly, a bit desperate, obtained from a recent customer interview with Acme Corps." Well, that perfectly captures the emotional and practical user experience that raw numbers alone simply cannot convey.
Yeah, you can feel the frustration there.
Right. It humanizes the problem, providing rich context for product empathy and revealing the underlying motivations or frustrations. This is where you truly unearth the system's friction users are experiencing, allowing you to design solutions that truly resonate. It's the story behind the data point.
And finally, market signals. This seems to be about understanding the broader competitive landscape and industry trends, ensuring we're not operating in a vacuum.
Yes, market signals provide essential external validation and strategic context. An example like our top two direct competitors, competitor A, competitor B, both publicly launched robust reporting export features in the last 6 months and have highlighted them in recent earnings calls as key drivers of customer satisfaction.
So knowing what the competition is doing.
It's not about mindlessly copying or engaging in an endless feature race, let's be clear.
Right.
But rather recognizing a potential market trend, a rising customer expectation, or a baseline feature set that is rapidly becoming standard. It forces a strategic conversation within the organization about competitive parity versus true differentiation. Are we falling behind on a hygiene factor? Or is there an opportunity to differentiate by building something superior?
Strategic context is key.
It adds another crucial layer of evidence vital for strategic alignment, helping us understand the market landscape, not just our internal bubble of problems. It's critical for maintaining product sovereignty in a competitive environment.
Okay, so once we've established the core problem and provided compelling, multifaceted evidence, we move to the proposed solution, the how. This section seems to bring back a disciplined, testable approach to defining what we believe will effectively solve the problem.
Indeed. This section requires articulating your hypothesis with precision. It's structured to be a clear, testable proposition, aligning with an empirical approach to product development. We believe that by building specific feature solution, we will enable users to achieve specific outcome, which we will measure by measurable metric.
Okay, the we believe structure.
Using our running example, we believe that by building a one-click executive view and export function within the dashboard, we will enable sales leaders to effortlessly share key metrics and feel fully prepared and confident for their high-stakes meetings, which we will measure by a 75% adoption rate among admin users, a 20% increase in self-reported confidence scores from sales leaders in post-meeting surveys, and direct positive feedback from the sales team in our quarterly reviews.
Very specific feature, outcome, and metrics.
Yes. This clarity ensures that the proposed solution is directly linked to the identified problem and the user's desired job to be done. Crucially, it sets up measurable outcomes, transforming product development from an act of faith or intuition into a rigorous, empirical approach akin to the scientific method. This is where radical ownership begins to define the strategic output, tying effort to measurable impact.
And then the success metrics, KPIs. This is often where proposals fall apart, right? Lacking clear, measurable outcomes. This template seems to force that discipline right up front.
Absolutely. Defining clear, tiered metrics is essential for truly understanding the impact and ROI of your investment. You want to capture the impact at multiple cascading levels.
Tiered levels, like what?
Well, a primary metric might be adoption rate of the feature target, 75% of target user segment within 90 days of launch, which directly measures usage and engagement with the solution.
Okay, basic usage.
Then a secondary metric like reduction in support tickets related to reporting and data export functionality, target, 50% reduction within 120 days, shows operational efficiency gained and reduced user pain.
So, less burden on support.
And critically, a business metric such as mention of this feature as a positive factor in at least 2 new enterprise deals and 1 key renewal this quarter, as recorded in Salesforce CRM, directly connects it to top line or bottom line impact.
Up to the money metric.
Exactly. This tiered approach moves beyond simply shipping features to explicitly proving their tangible business value, anchoring product development firmly in economic reality and strategic impact. It shifts the conversation from what did we build to what value did we create.
Finally, strategic alignment. The
Yep.
fit. This section feels absolutely vital for preventing orphan features that don't genuinely serve the broader company goals. It forces a connection to the bigger picture.
This section serves as the final critical filter, ensuring the proposed initiative is not just a good idea in isolation, but a strategic one that contributes directly to the organization's overarching objectives. It directly asks, how does this proposed solution directly support our defined company goals?
Connecting the dots.
Yes, our example. This initiative directly supports our Q3 company goal of increase enterprise retention by 15% by addressing a key feature gap that our sales and customer success teams have identified as a primary cause of churn and deal loss among our largest clients. This forces the proposer to explicitly connect the dots between a specific feature and the overarching organizational strategy.
No more features floating in space.
Precisely. It actively prevents strategic drift and ensures that every investment of valuable, scarce resources contributes demonstrably demonstrably to the company's macro objectives, providing undeniable clarity for prioritization decisions and justifying the investment to stakeholders across the entire business. This is where you validate the integrity of your operating layer and reinforce the organization's strategic discipline.
So what does this all mean for someone staring down an overflowing product backlog, perpetually battling the future factory's demands? It creates an undeniable logic, doesn't it? From problem to proof to proposed solution, all meticulously tied back to why the business at its highest level should genuinely care.
It really does.
It's like a mini business case that anyone in the organization can now be empowered to build, fostering a profound sense of intellectual honesty around every single idea.
This is precisely where the rigor comes into play. The PoV template enforces a discipline in thinking that is tragically often missing in product organizations. It mandates the articulation of a clear hypothesis and measurable outcomes up front, which is foundational to any truly empirical approach to product development.
Shifting the burden of proof.
It fundamentally shifts the burden of proof from the product team having to justify why not to the proposer having to justify why. This effectively builds a self-regulating mechanism into the strategic intake process. This is the fundamental difference between an intuition-driven roadmap shaped by internal politics and an evidence-based product as protocol, guided by objective reality. It relentlessly pushes for clarity, demands demonstrable impact, and ensures the discussion is always grounded in verifiable facts, not simply opinions or political will. It's a system designed to elevate strategic discourse.
So we have this powerful template, this new strategic protocol. But even a brilliantly designed template is useless without a clear, disciplined implementation strategy. What are the inviolable rules for truly embedding the PoV template into an organization's product culture, transforming it from chaos to clarity?
Right, this is where the rubber meets the road. The effectiveness of the PoV template hinges entirely on the discipline of its implementation. The first rule, and perhaps the single most important, is unwavering. No template, no talk.
No template, no talk. That sounds direct, uncompromising, and incredibly powerful. But how do you implement that in a respectful but absolutely firm way, especially with those senior stakeholders who might be accustomed to just dropping demands on your desk and expecting immediate action?
What are the practical tactics for this strategic firewall?
Well, this rule is your strategic firewall in continuous operation. It's about establishing a new default behavior for everyone in the organization. If someone approaches you with an idea, whether it's in a hallway conversation, a casual Slack message, or a formal meeting, your response must always be consistent, polite, but unyielding.
Polite but firm.
Exactly. That sounds genuinely interesting, and I want to ensure it gets the thorough evaluation it deserves. Could you please fill out a PoV template so we can properly assess it against our other strategic priorities and allocate resources effectively? Okay, so you frame it as giving the idea proper attention.
Precisely. This isn't meant to be dismissive or bureaucratic. It's a polite but firm redirection. It shifts the onus directly from the product team having to immediately vet or potentially say no to an ill-defined request to the proposer needing to articulate their idea with the required rigor and evidence.
Putting the ball back in their court.
Yes. It acts as an invaluable shield for the product team, preserving their focus and protecting valuable engineering and design time from unvalidated initiatives. It's a critical, proactive step in cultivating intellectual honesty across the entire organization, teaching everyone that ideas earn attention through merit, not just proximity to power. Imagine the collective hours saved when everyone knows the rules of engagement are consistent and fair.
That consistent redirection immediately changes the dynamic, putting the burden of proof squarely on the idea originator, regardless of their role. What about the idea that the PoV is a living document? How does that integrate with the dynamic nature of product development?
That's absolutely crucial. The PoV is emphatically not a static contract or a fixed specification. It is a starting point for an ongoing discovery and validation process.
Not set in stone.
Not at all. As the product team engages in further user research, market validation, technical discovery, and iterative testing, new insights will inevitably emerge. Assumptions will be challenged, and understanding will deepen. The document must be updated to reflect these learnings.
Okay, so it evolves.
Yes. This principle fully supports agile methodologies and continuous learning cycles. It ensures that the rationale behind an initiative evolves dynamically with new evidence, preventing the team from building something based on outdated assumptions or incomplete information. It means your strategic decisions are adaptive and empirically informed, not rigid, and based on a single snapshot in time. This prevents the document from becoming a relic and ensures it continues to serve as a reliable source of truth.
And a very important distinction you've made. It's a key, not a contract. Filling out a PoV does not and cannot guarantee the feature will be built. This manages expectations up front, which feels absolutely critical when you're trying to shift a culture and prevent disappointment. How do you communicate this without demotivating people?
Absolutely. Managing expectations here is paramount to maintaining the integrity and long-term viability of the prioritization process. Filling out a PoV guarantees one thing:
What's that?
that the idea will be taken seriously, reviewed fairly, and prioritized based on the evidence presented and its alignment with overarching strategic goals. It explicitly does not guarantee an immediate green light for development.
Right. Review guaranteed, build not guaranteed.
Precisely. This empowers the product team to maintain strategic sovereignty, ensuring that final decisions are made with a holistic view of current resources, technical dependencies, broader market shifts, and overall strategic impact, rather than simply on the strength of a single proposal. It prevents the PoV from becoming a mere order form or a political leverage tool.
How do you get that message across?
By communicating this distinction clearly from the outset, perhaps through internal comms, town halls, or team-specific training, you build trust and transparency. Even if an idea is ultimately deprioritized, the proposer understands why, because the decision is based on objective criteria articulated within the PoV itself, not on arbitrary judgment. This fosters a culture of respectful, evidence-based prioritization, even when saying, "not now."
And finally, it fuels the conversation. The PoV is not meant to be a replacement for discussion, but rather a tool to make that discussion dramatically, exponentially more productive. How does it transform the nature of strategic debate within an organization?
This is where the true transformative power of the PoV template is realized in practice. Instead of subjective, often emotionally charged debates about personal preferences or opinions, do we like this idea? Does it feel right? The PoV relentlessly shifts the conversation to objective evidence and strategic alignment.
Focusing the debate.
Yes. Is the evidence in this document strong enough to justify the significant investment? Does this proposal genuinely move our strategic needle? This inherently elevates the entire dialogue, making it data-driven, fact-based, and singularly focused on demonstrable value.
Less heat, more light.
Exactly. It significantly reduces internal conflict and political maneuvering by providing a shared, objective framework for evaluation, rather than relying on gut feelings or loudest voices. It transitions the organization from a realm of emotional appeals and individual biases to one of rational discussion and collective informed decision-making. This systematic shift leads to dramatically better outcomes, more efficient resource allocation, and fosters a culture of signal over noise, where the most impactful ideas truly rise to the top. It designs a new decision architecture for the entire organization.
It sounds like this template becomes the operating system for how all ideas flow through the organization and get evaluated. It's about empowering the product team to confidently say no to the incessant noise and a resounding yes to the true signal, all while maintaining complete transparency and fairness.
Precisely. This is about establishing a new strategic protocol, fundamentally changing the default behavior within the organization. By making this concise, one-page document the cornerstone of your product intake process, you're not just organizing ideas, you're actively transforming your entire product culture from one riddled with chaos and politics to one defined by clarity, evidence, and profound strategic purpose.
A big shift.
It's a monumental shift from reactive, often exhausting execution to truly radical ownership of the product's direction. It is a fundamental re-engineering of the strategic intake mechanism, demanding intellectual honesty from every corner of the organization, and ultimately building products that truly matter.
The transformative power of the proof of value template is undeniable. It's a deceptively simple tool, yes, but when implemented with unwavering discipline and a genuine commitment to intellectual honesty, it fundamentally shifts an organization from a reactive feature factory to a proactive, evidence-driven product strategy.
Couldn't agree more.
It empowers product leaders to cultivate clarity, prioritize signal over noise, and truly own their product's destiny rather than being a pawn in a larger, often chaotic game.
It imposes a discipline that unlocks profound strategic agility and focuses scarce, valuable resources on what genuinely matters. It's about meticulously building a system where the best ideas, rigorously backed by the best evidence, consistently win regardless of who proposes them. This is how you reclaim strategic sovereignty.
So as a product leader navigating the intricate complexities of your organization, what will it truly take for your organization to move from prioritizing who is asking to demanding what is the proof? Are you prepared to seize and truly own your product strategy, or will you continue to be dictated by the loudest voice and the most powerful internal constituencies?
The challenge and the immense opportunity lies in implementing this strategic protocol with unwavering consistency and a deep understanding of the behavioral shifts it requires. It's a profound commitment to designing a better system for product development, one that consistently prioritizes evidence, long-term value, and sustained impact over short-term expediency.
Reflect on that and consider how you might apply this thinking within your own domain.
And that brings us to the end of this debrief. Our goal is to give you not just ideas, but a more powerful way to think. If you found value in this discussion, the best way to support this work is to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future session. And if you know a fellow product leader who is wrestling with these same challenges, feel free to share this episode with them. As always, you can find the link to the original in-depth article by Karsten Schwarzkopf directly in the description below. Thank you for your time and your attention. Stay sovereign.